Stories untold, tales that we've spun, quite a few missing, where have they gone? Come and fill your mind with ghosts of the past, now that we're breaking bud. 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 Hello and welcome to the mini bard part of this episode after our main episode about Rosaleen Norton, the Witch of King's Cross. If you haven't listened to that, you might want to go check out the main episode. Maeve, let's start straight off the bat skin, if you will.
Yay.
With the tradition. Thank you. Who would you like to toast, or what would you like to toast of that episode?
I mean, just all the names in general, I think, but specifically, I have to give it to Wally.
Wally!
I just love the name Wally.
Wally Glover.
It's great, and also Wally Glover. Big old Wally Glover.
Wally Glover. Wally Glover. Cheers to him.
Wally Glover, what you gloving, Wally? Cheers
Cheers
to Wally.
Cheers to Wally.
And cheers to Wally, and for being such a support to her throughout her life.
Yeah.
Well, apart from in the end, obviously, unfortunate.
But then he did publish the book after her death, and it, helped propel. Yeah. And it's great. I mean, it's interesting what you say. It's like, same. There's always someone in the story that, I guess it's someone that got her, right? And Gavin, and we're like, no, I think this is really good. I'm going to literally put my career on the line.
Well, yeah, and it completely, I guess, ruined him
it did for a bit,
for a time. But it's also thanks to that there's now a trace of what they put together, and
exactly.
some more of her art is out there,
exactly.
and available to the public, other than just going to a private hotel.
It is. I just hope I'm not the Wally Glover of this breaking part. It ruined me financially, and then never. I have to ask, if you could go back and ask Rosaleen one thing, what would you like to know?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm awful at thinking about these kind of things, but also, given her love for animals, as lame as it is, I genuinely would want to know what her favourite animal was.
Well, I think it has to be maybe Jeffrey the cat.
I'd hope it would be Jeffrey the cat, but maybe there's a spider in there
from
her beginnings in the tent.
Horace.
Yeah, little Horace. Or maybe she wouldn't be able to choose. I don't know.
Maybe not. Is that the one solitary goat?
We didn't see the goats come back much, did we? Maybe she wasn't a big fan of the goats.
Although Pan is technically like a goat god, and she worshipped her whole life to them. It was the goat.
It's a goat.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd love to just speak to her about Greek mythology and her thoughts on Pan, I reckon.
Yes, me too. What's he like? What
do
you get up to?
Does he play good music?
Flute, right?
I think flute, yeah. Yes. Famously one of the best flutists, no? Flautist?
Flautist? Flouting it? Yeah, I think it's flautist.
Flouting the flute?
Flouting off his flute. No, that's brilliant. Yeah, I would. I think she would have a lot to chat about. Witchcraft in general. I mean, I actually got you the Green Witch book, didn't I, for our Secret Santa?
Yeah, which I've been flicking my way through.
Have you? As it comes to spring, I mean, what's in the book? Is there anything interesting that you've seen? Is it like something you have to wait for spring to do? Or I guess, is there anything like in winter?
No, it's kind of all seasonal, and it's split into sections, but a lot of it, well, first of all, the first part is just tending to your garden and the, I guess, spiritual positioning that you should have towards all living things anyway, and especially your garden. And then it talks about planting, talks about different plants and their different what's the word? And their different capabilities and their
qualities.
Different, what's the witchy word? Qualities, I guess. Plants and their different qualities, and spells you can do in the garden while you're planting. So it's all about adding witchiness to your usual, mundane. Oh, instead of going to prune your rose bush, hey. you chuck a cheeky spell in there,
I love that. Why do you think?
Which goes back to Rosaleen, I think, and just it's all about our awareness, isn't it? And I think those kind of pagan rituals ultimately come down to just being at one and aware and connected to what's going on around us, as opposed to just getting trapped in our own thought prison and not realizing what's there.
Yeah, I mean, so I've got The House Witch from the same author. Can't remember her name, damn it. But basically, same. It's kind of like teaching you to, be in the moment and see almost like washing up as a spell, right? It's like you're cleansing something that you use for food. Like it's having that.
Mary Poppins famously cleaned a bedroom with her magics.
She did. Was there a specific song with that? Was it just a spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down, and then just get on with all the tedious tasks that we have to do? And I think I've realised my relationship, if you will, with the craft, the hearth craft, is that really. It's like, look, we all have to do tedious things. We have to clean ourselves. We have to, feed ourselves. We have to look after our bodies. And some people need a religion to do that, and I think that is why religion has been created, right? And what I love about
some would say oppression and control, but
some would, yes, and I think that's definitely maybe the organically grown version of religion, unfortunately. But I think going back to the pagan, the ritual,
yes, 100%, yeah,
it's all about being aware, living in the moment.
Yeah, and you see it from all historical pagan rituals and all that. It was all. Well, like Easter, as I said, was a celebration of spring and, rotated around the spring equinox and was traditionally when you would plant stuff, most pagan celebrations all founded in actual real earthly things. And I think that's what's so relatable about paganism as a whole, is that it's tangible, and it's genuinely, what we're celebrating here isn't some, thing in the sky or some kind of wild thing. It's literally the sun comes out, things grow. Yeah. We need water. Yeah. For the things to grow. Like, it's all pretty simple. And then, I guess that was the beginning of, if anything, I think
Theism. Theism.
Yes, thank you. Polytheism. Polytheism.
Polytheism? Polytheism, we say in French.
Polytheism, yeah, exactly. The worshipping of multiple gods, in a way, makes the most sense.
For sure.
Really.
I've always thought
I'd
that.
say if you're going to go for one thing, you might as well do that, which is they are the personification of a thing, of a natural occurring phenomenon. It's doesn't make sense to just have one god that does it all.
For sure. And I think it's even more beautiful because it's like these traits, the stories that they create of like what, Helios, the sun god, Titan did, and, the way he looked and the way they are, and Minerva or Athena, the wisdom, like that's humans who have added these qualities to them. So it's we've humanized these gorgeous deities, elements.
Things,
and actually earlier you were like, oh, it's not just a thing in the sky. And then you were like, it's the sun, which is a thing in the sky. But as you said, it's way more tangible than, this guy with a beard who says, don't eat anything but fish on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like be circumcised. I don't know. No offense to those, who are religious, but I think it's really interesting. And I think in the world that we're going into, myself included, a lot of people kind of, if you haven't been religious, like if you haven't been baptized like myself, you kind of tend to go towards, obviously, because we're human, some kind of, I want to explain the world around me, right? And I think if you're going to land with anything, for me, it does make the most sense to be like, there's a God, there's a divine spirit in everything, which sounds very woo-woo, but it's like, well, yeah, because the rain comes, beautiful flowers grow, we see it, we smell the flower, we feel the sun on our face, and we're happy. We eat the food that grows. And yeah, especially in a world where everything's packaged and kind of commercialized, it's really important to get back to the earthier roots.
Yeah, and it was easier, I guess, because also science.
Yeah, well,
right?
Oh yeah, let's not forget which is a religion in itself.
Some would say, for sure. And, the two aren't necessarily incompatible for everyone, and that's fair enough. Science doesn't cancel out what people choose to believe about the origins of things, but it can be enough, I guess. But yeah, we're creative beings, so I suppose we search for more.
So speaking of creative beings, obviously this podcast is, and you know me, I love storytelling, and I think that's my. If we were going to get really, I think this is the hippy dippy episode for sure. If we get, if I was put on this earth, all the things that I love to do, writing songs, being a journalist, doing this podcast, it all comes down to telling stories because I think it creates connection. I feel like every person we bring in this podcast, all the people, Artemisia, Madame Jingxi, like they all become people that are actually, it feels like they're in the room with us in a way. And you kind of create, that's why I love storytelling, because even though we'll never meet them, we're not even from the same countries, blah, blah, blah. Like if you ever hear now someone talk about Artemisia Gentileschi, you'll be like, well, actually, look, right there. There's the little painting.
Oh, yeah. I went to Florence last year, and saw one of her paintings that we talked about actually in the gallery, and it makes it, so much more special to kind of know something about these people.
It's their stories. And so with that beautiful segue, I would ask you, Maeve Sally, what constitutes a good story for you? Completely subjective, it could be anything. It could be what kind of that's such a hard question as well, because I say I digest a lot of different genres. So to me it's definitely not, if we're going into the books realm, it's definitely not a genre thing. I guess there's some stretch of the imagination, but then I've always really liked history, so I have a big love of all the kings and queens of England, and I think that history constitutes a good story because it's just mad, isn't it? There's just so much goings on, like political tension, drama, I guess. Yes.
Drama and emotion, and then thinking to books I've read and enjoy is always just generally well realized characters, I think, and just kind of being able to get immersed in their world and understand their trials and tribulations and what they're going through. And I guess I like to project that onto historical figures. Funnily enough, when it gets too contemporary for me, I almost lose a bit more interest, maybe because it's not distant enough and not you can't apply as much imagination to it, I suppose. The more information there is about figures, and the more kind of factual and straight and not boring per se, but I guess less akin to actual stories. So that's a very waffly answer.
No, it makes complete sense, and I completely agree, and I can relate to that because it's true. It's kind of like, it's like the basics of what makes a good story, but on top of that, when you know that it's like hundreds of years ago, I think maybe what you might relate to as well is like this idea that, hang on, wait, they also were like this? Like, I think we kind of imagine people from history of being almost complete aliens to ourselves. So having a story and it being hundreds of years before, it kind of adds this, they were just as human as we were now. They just lived in a completely other world.
Sure. But also how alien they actually were.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's also the side of like, whoa, that, I guess their almost fantasy element that you can put onto, like, of course, yeah, they're humans and, you know, still had feelings and relationships. And so that definitely makes it more real. But just, you know, the world they lived in is completely different, you know, and to be able to project yourself into what feels like an almost completely different universe to us, you know, and the further in the past it is, the more you can be free, I suppose, with that, or imagine something that isn't quite what we know today.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's more escapism. It's almost the opposite.
It's true escapism for you. To go back, and I mean, you love. Well, I know you're your best friend. You love a period drama, and that's where we connect on that. You know, if it's a Sunday afternoon and you're like, Quentin doesn't want to watch this with me, Kaine. Let's watch a period drama.
Yeah, have
a romance, have a good cry.
Well, yeah, and I grew up with musicals and you know, Sound of Music, which I rewatched recently, and all that kind of magic. As well, that's applied to things. I love a sing-song.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't? Brilliant. Is there a story that's kind of stuck with you? It could be a book, it could be a film, it could be something you saw, and a lot of the time it's usually because of when you were young, you know, like so Lewis, he was starting to say his answer. He couldn't really find one, and as he was saying, I had mine, and it was exactly the same, and it was Titanic. We were both...
Really?
Yeah. He was like, I don't know why, but I've always been obsessed with it. And you know me, I love a good sinking boat. I mean, episode 4, Violet Jessup, Queen of Sinking Ships.
Yeah.
I think, there's just something about that. It was quite generational. That it was just such a wow. And when you think about it, we can't relate whatsoever. Like, I've never been on a sinking ship, but there was just something about that story. And yeah, you know, everyone has their own Disney, you know, Pocahontas I've always loved, Little Mermaid I've always loved. So I've always loved stuff that connects to the sea. I feel like, because I know you so well, I've got one in mind for you. But I want to hear what you say first.
Oh, but there are, because I can think of what you might say. And I'd say, and I've talked about 2 of them, but there's probably like 3, I guess, that are kind of... I think, but then there are so many because, like, honorable mentions, and as you said, it comes down to what you had on video when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, it does.
So the Star Wars films, me and Finn, have watched so many times. Yeah. Lord of the Rings, like those kind of things. But I don't know. I think The Sound of Music for me is a big one that has like a kind of definitely had an emotional impact, and I know it literally off by heart. I watched it a few months ago for the first time in years, and it's like
bam,
every single beat is just like that. And on the parallel thing, which I think you think I'm going to say, is Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh,
no,
actually, I've got another one for you.
I wouldn't put that, but actually, I was thinking of The Secret Garden.
Secret Garden, that's what I thought. Yeah. Secret Garden.
And I don't know if I would have put it on par. I think in some ways The Sound of Music could pip it to the post, but The Secret Garden is to me such a special story. It's not one that I've watched like or kind of digested as much. We did have it as video, but didn't watch it as much as the others. But there's something about it, and I re-listened to the audiobook last year because I'd never read the book, and it's just, I don't know, it's just such a beautiful and special story about kind of, well, someone who's different and unhappy and lonely, and about, you know, isolation and loneliness really is and where she's sent is a huge metaphor for that, and finds love and connection through a garden and through nature and through discovering how things grow and what life is, and I think it's very on theme with the episode.
It is really
also
good. Yeah, it is.
In terms of paganism and nature and connection, and it's just a really quite strange, eerie.
There's a
and
beauty in the
special story.
simplicity of it as well. Yeah, as you say. And yeah, I thought of that because, you know, whenever you talk about that, which you have a bit, like you've always said it with almost a little gleam in your eye. Like I always associate it to your story, even though I also read it, watched it when I was younger and stuff. But I remember, there's just something that's what I mean. Like there's some reason sometimes you connect.
And the book is just so beautifully written as well. And it's just really special. Beautiful.
That's lovely. Well, is there anything you're watching now that you're like, oh my God, it's amazing, you need to watch it? Or...
Well, we've actually been watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
I need to watch that so bad.
Which actually is really good. And I almost didn't watch it and kind of bypassed it slightly, you know, because I guess the whole Game of Thrones franchise, after its unfortunate ending, you know, I did watch House of Dragons, which I've always kind of enjoyed, but not necessarily been enthralled by, although some episodes good. I was a bit disappointed by the end of the last season.
Yeah, we've spoken about this extensively.
Also, such a wait for things to come. But this is so good. Like, the visuals are really amazing. You can actually see something. It's not so dark that you can't see anything, which House of Dragons definitely did. True. Like, the color grading's beautiful, the acting's good, it's funny, like it's got it's got like comedic beats, but it suits that world so well and kind of reminds me of the first season of Game of Thrones a bit, you know, with that, you know, where they weren't afraid to kind of, there are some silly moments or there are some jokes or and it feels very like human and last episode was massive drama, would 100% recommend. They're only 30-minute episodes though, and there's only 6 episodes.
Wow!
So
that's one evening.
Yeah, literally
3 hours.
So they come out every week, so there's still one to go.
That's exciting.
But would recommend.
Fantastic.
Sure.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, because I guess you're right. I did see a meme. It was like, one side it was like House of Dragons, and it was like some kind of meme where it was like so serious, and it's like, rah! And then the other thing is like, I just want to be a knight. Like, it was a bit more like.
And I think they made House of Dragons so moody and serious and dark, and sure, it's dark subject matter, but like, oh my God, like Daemon in the last season, like, we get it, you're having visions, man.
Oh my God, get him out of that fucking castle, someone.
Yeah, literally. And actually the latter seasons of Game of Thrones were more like that as well, I would say.
Yeah.
And you forget that actually earlier seasons, although they had like massive drama points, actually we're also very good at kind of adding a bit of joviality and
I guess that kind of brings colour to the universe, right?
100%, exactly. You know, there are and
instead of being weighed down by the plot,
it feels realistic, and it feels everything's very kind of close to how you'd imagine it would actually be in medieval times. You know, like the fighting isn't necessarily the swiftest or the, you know, like it's choreographed to be messy and dirty and
I see exactly,
like real and raw, you know.
That's
so
cool. I'm excited. Well, I have in a not similar vein, but I've started Bridgerton season 4.
Oh yeah.
And I love it instantly. I'm on the binge. Season 4, they're basically copy paste Cinderella. Yeah.
Oh, with the mask, of course.
With the masquerade in the first episode, and this like Asian family. And there's an evil stepmother kind of vibe with 2 daughters that come to the thing as debutantes, and then there's this masked one that comes and gets the dance with Mr. Bridgerton and gets all the attention, but she then goes back and you realise is the stepdaughter of it's literally Cinderella, and that she's like the maid. And the other maid, and like there's this other maid and this other like foot soldier who helps her, and it's like, no, you must go to the ball. We'll get the cat, you know. And so she's like, oh, and so
he's her fairy godmother.
Really is, and so I'm like,
how many Mr. Bridgertons are there in this show? Because
so
it's
many. children. Every season, this mother
Wait,
is like
every season a Bridgerton boy.
getting
I
or
didn't
girl
know
is
this.
girl or boy. So every season starts with the queen being like, the season has begun, and they have a ball, and then they bring out the debutantes, and she chooses her favorite debutante, and usually it's a woman. And so in the seasons where it's like a woman, it will either be a woman that's not the Bridgerton family but falls in love with a Bridgerton boy, or it's the Bridgerton girl who falls in love with a boy. And so
I see.
every family is the Bridgerton. So this woman she must have about 6-7 children, and there's this
Are they going to keep bringing them out the woodwork?
yeah, this every season you see a new one who's like, Mama, please can I go to the ball? And she's like, not yet. And I'm thinking, you're season 5, baby.
For sure.
So yeah, but it's actually, I remember watching it and being like, God, this is so poorly written at the start, and it's just so, there's no depth, but it's really nice to just whack on. And
look, sometimes you just need one of those no strings attached watch. I mean, tell me about it. Do you know what we've just finished? Invasion.
Oh,
you'd like it actually, but talk about poorly written. Oh my gosh,
la, la.
3 seasons Quentin signed me up for. Said, I want to watch this. There's 3 seasons.
He always picks them like that too. He'll just come up to you, won't he, and be like, Lishash, guys, I've heard about this. It looks really good, and we just go, okay, and then it's like,
I'm like,
Lost in Space for 5
very
seasons.
good. But I'll give it a go if you say it gets better. I think it is giving Lost in Space vibes. Although back in the day, like, you could get away with having more mediocre TV like that.
Yeah,
I would
you could.
say. You know, I watched and loved The 100.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, you just go with it, and that's fine. But at least they have a kind of it's drama. You're there, you're with it. This is I mean, it's funny. There's a lot of subreddits on how much people hate it, and it's one of those you just love to hate and become part of the wajo. So it's
I love that. Well, it goes to show that we have both duality of being for the esoteric crowd and for the widely mainstream.
It's not all highbrow.
It's not all highbrow with us, but it can't be, because this is how then we give the highbrow. But yeah, thank you so much for being part.
Sorry, I don't want you to. No, and we don't have to keep this in. But something that I have told you to watch before, that we watched a long time ago, but I think it's fallen off your radar, is Mo.
Mo. Yeah, that's
on
fallen
Netflix.
off my radar. Yeah,
excellent. It's 2 seasons. It's made by a Palestinian American refugee comedian who has written a kind of drama comedy based on his actual experience of being a refugee in the States from Palestine.
Wow.
And it's beautifully written, it's funny, it's just really, really good show. And brilliant. I think you'd love it, seeing as you're in your Arabic era.
Well, I am. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. It's Ramadan, actually, tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
It begins.
Happy Ramadan.
Thank you.
It's Chinese New Year
Eid
today,
Ramadan
isn't it?
Mubarak. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like quite a... So my Moroccan friend, Hajar, shout out, she was saying, make sure you don't wash or deep clean your house in the next 2 days, like, because both the Chinese culture believe not to deep clean on the first day of Chinese New Year, and both Ramadan believe the same thing as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Interconnectivity again.
Exactly. It gets right back to the pagan belief. Rosaleen is, like, I told ya. Brilliant. Well, thank you for being on your first mini bard. I'm sure the audience loves to hear more about you and me chatting about what shit we love, but it's basically just every conversation we have.
Go on forever.
Literally, we could. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been so fun. And I hope I hope you're excited for the next episode that we will be doing together, hopefully.
I am, and I can't wait to hear those you've recorded without me also.
Yeah, great. That's true. Yeah, we need to give some love to Lewis, because it's true. You've been the pillar of thought to Breaking Bad's birth.
Too much.
No. You're a beloved idol. Well, thank you again, Maeve, and thank you to the listener at home. Let's say goodbye on 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.
Recording. Stop.